Hi everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Women in Retail Talks. In today's episode, we sit down with Marianne Johnson, Senior Vice President of Product Innovation and Product Commercialization at First Data. Listen in as she discusses the top pain points for retailers in 2018 and some of the top technology trends, all live from this year's Women in Retail Leadership Summit. And now, on to the show. So what are some of your thoughts on the Women in Retail Leadership Summit?
So actually, it's one of my favorite conferences in general, because the women are just so open to networking, helping one another, and the energy is palpable. And it was that way last year, and this year it's just been no different. It's a very strong connection to what you're hearing, and you feel very deeply what other people are talking about, and you say, I've been there, or boy, I'm writing that down because I know when I'm going to have to use that next. So it's been very, very empowering.
As we all know, there's many ups and downs within retail, and we've seen that over the past few years. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of the pain points that you're seeing from your clients and how First Data Solutions can help?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's a lot of areas of opportunity right now and pain points, but some of the ones that has been a common theme that I've heard throughout today, and I know it was talked about yesterday as well, has to do with how to digitally engage, with at the marketplace, and how consumer expectations are continuing to change. They want things seamless. They don't, if they buy online, they want to be able to pick up in store or return in store, or all of the different types of ways that they can purchase, but they don't want it to feel like they're dealing with a different company. So they want it to be seamless and easy, and everybody expects it very fast. And because of some of experiences that are out there in a mobile digital way, the tolerance for not having something seamless or easy, it can be very unforgiving. So some of the areas that we're working on right now that we actually have in production, some pretty amazing experiences. I won't call out the brands, but I'll give some hints. But we have a product called Universal Commerce, where we're partnering with both retailers, quick service restaurants, large restaurants chains, the major gasoline providers. Maybe there might be like a major chicken restaurant, but if you download some of their mobile apps, we're either hosting their app or we're the full orchestration behind the app. And many of those clients are trying to figure out what their opportunity and pain point is. So one of them is throughput, trying to get people in and out so people don't go somewhere else. Another one is trying to increase the average ticket and loyalty. So a lot of brick and mortar, either retailers or stores, have a situation where they want to engage digitally, and they're seeing results digitally through a lot of our apps and things that they're doing. For example, if someone is shopping digitally, their average ticket almost always goes up. They might actually take the product in the store, or they may be doing a pickup, but because of the ability to orchestrate a consumer experience online, they can make suggestions and bundle different types of products together. So it's a challenge if you don't have a digital strategy, so it's a pain point, but it's also a huge opportunity. The pain point in this, and many clients have learned this and then come to us and we've helped them, and several clients have said, it's going to sound like a commercial, but several clients have said, hey, we wish we had started with you. We didn't know you did all of this. But because we are so strong in fraud, the amount of volume we see, we're about 40%, a little over 40% of the market. And in some areas, in some segments, we're over 50%. So one of every two transactions that where somebody's paying for something, whether in the store or online, are running through our systems. So what we see from a velocity standpoint and a volume standpoint, and then on our financial services side, when somebody is processing a credit card transaction through their financial institution, the breadth and depth of the data we see, we have the ability to have products that prevent fraud. And so we have invested heavily in artificial intelligence and machine learning, and being able to apply data scientists with that type technology to be able to see fraud patterns ahead of time. So when people go digital and they're trying to drive 70 or 80% of their consumer interactions starting in a digital way, even in store, what happens is, while the whole digital revolution is happening, that digital revolution is happening in the fraud space too. All of the fraudsters, that's a whole ecosystem of how they run their business. There's good paying jobs, they have good hours, they have good technology, but that whole fraud crime ecosystem they're taking advantage of that too. So one of the ways we're helping is through our mobile commerce, our universal commerce solutions. We've applied our new product called Fraud Detect in that. So we've seen some of our large retailers experience significantly high increases of fraud in those mobile apps, and we've been able to bring those down to lower fraud than they've ever seen before, because we're able to see the patterns not only in their apps but across the ecosystem to anticipate it and stop it before the fraud occurs. So those two areas: one, how to lean in if you need a digital partner to help you figure that out and how to go there. We've been there in the small, the medium, and the very large spaces. So we have a lot of experience to draw on, and then we can do it in a safe and secure way so it protects your business.
Definitely. And as you mentioned, a lot of technology solutions right there. I was wondering, or I think our audience is wondering, what are some of the technology trends that you're seeing in 2018 that have real staying power versus some that may just be a fad right now?
I think I just mentioned on the fraud front, artificial intelligence. You hear AI, that's the new buzzword right now, but it's real. It's here to stay. It's really, and it's not just in fraud. We're implementing it in fraud to help our clients, but you'll see artificial intelligence show up in service, and it's all about the customer experience. So, if you can anticipate who I am, what I'm calling about, what number I'm calling from, if I call in or I digitally engage on my mobile device and that it's me, and all of a sudden you pull up my reservation, you pull up my order, it makes it easy for me to see where things are. Has my item arrived yet? When is it arriving? All those types of things that make it easy for me. As a consumer, you can delight me, but you also might then create efficiencies in your own organization because you're not having to man a phone call. And so now you've got something that made it easy for the consumer, but also creates cost effectiveness and in your own shop. So I don't think how technology and artificial intelligence anticipating not only from an engagement, a purchasing side, but a service side too. I think how people want to be served and how they want you to know about them and what they're wanting before they even really connect is an expectation that is not going to go away. So I think that's going to continue to evolve and probably pretty rapidly. Mm-hmm. So either if you're not doing it or you don't have a partner that's doing it with you, you're going to fall behind pretty quick because the path of acceleration on that is just accelerating more and more every day.
Of course, and I think it goes hand in hand with the 24/7 on demands of the consumer. Shifting gears a little bit back to the Women in Retail Leadership Summit. As a leader in this space, and as we're talking about leadership roles and a lot of the conversations here, is there a woman in the retail space that you admire?
There are many. So when we talked about this question, I really thought about it. There's many women within the First Data leadership team. We have a pretty diverse female leadership team. So there's several I would mention there, but Christine Larson and Cindy Armine Klein are two of our management committee members, and you don't often see more than one in our C-suite, so that is always an inspiration. But the first person that really kind of came to mind was one of our clients, and it's Marina Hodges at Walmart. And she's the director of Treasury Operations there, and we support her in many different ways and many different opportunities in the business. But getting to participate with her in new ideas of innovative things of how they're bringing innovation into their actual employee base, as well as whether they're doing credit or whether they're doing gift card, all different types of things that they're bringing. And if you watch Walmart, they're doing an amazing job of innovating themselves. They're not the same big box retailer that maybe you thought of, 3 years ago, let alone 5 years ago. So Marina she's one of those people that is just very matter of fact. She's very down to earth. She gets things done. So it's not only her what and her how. So when I think about the women in retail, she's just one of those women that I think just stand out.
Excellent. And then finally, my last question is not only in retail, but why across all industries is it important to advocate for women in leadership roles?
Well, diversity is a big deal. I think diversity, when you have diversity of thought, you have diversity of backgrounds, diversity of gender, you get a better outcome. The facts are there. When you go look at any company that's had success, you will see diversity coming to play. And specifically when you get into gender diversity, I think the way that women tend to engage both on an intellectual level and on an emotional intelligence level I think the emotional intelligence almost always, I may be a little biased, but is almost always higher. And I think in order to have like a very well-rounded leader, you got to think about the what and the how. And the how kind of comes in oftentimes with the emotional intelligence. And so I think that is just one, there's many ways it shows up, but that's one way that I think it really shows a difference. And I think often companies and leadership teams don't really know how to tap into their workforce in a way that gets the hearts and the minds of anyone, whether you're cleaning the bathrooms or whether you're restocking a shelf or whether you're at the C-suite table. Everybody needs to feel connected to the vision and the mission and figure out what their part of that is. And I often see women leaders figuring out how to do that better than others. And what I like about this leadership summit is the women leaders here are modeling the right behavior, and so it's modeling it for the other women, so that yes, you can have some phenomenal men mentors, and I've had those in my career too. But I love seeing women showing other women how they can get phenomenal outcomes and be able to balance all the things that are important to them. So yeah, I think it matters, and I see best outcomes, the great outcomes, when you have that diversity at the table.
Thanks for joining us today. For more information on Women in Retail Talks, be sure to visit our podcast channel page at www.wirlc.com/podcast for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Google Play, but please remember to subscribe to our podcast channel page as well. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.